Okay. Well, hello there, nerds. It is time for some more reaction content. I'm going out of town once again, which means we need to fill up some time because I'm not going to be home to do it for the regular news show. We're going to start this over. Well, hello once again, nerds. The channel is going on a break, which means we're doing a couple more reaction videos, because that seems to be the only time that I can sneak these guys in. So, today we are reacting to the new Mushroomhead track. I honestly can't remember the name of the song right now because I'm not looking at it, but either way, let's get to the intro, shall we? Well, hello there, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for this reaction video. We have a couple of things to get out of the way before we can get back to said video. First and foremost, I do reactions as more of a initial analysis. So we're going to be stopping this. We're going to be talking over certain things. We're going to be replaying sections. We're going to be doing a lot of things that are not conducive to somebody who just wants to watch the original content. If you would rather watch the original content uninterrupted, then please go do that. I definitely would recommend that before you join me here on this reaction and analysis. Beyond that, I have to get my qualifications out of the way. I have been training in music since I was a little kid, which means approximately 30 years. I have been a professional musician and studio producer for about 20 of those 30 years. I have also been making, directing, and editing music videos and YouTube content for over a decade at this point. So I have a base of knowledge that lends itself to adding something constructive to this conversation. And that is exactly what this is. This is a conversation. This is my interpretation of what we are about to react to and analyze. If you have a different interpretation, that's what the comment section is for. Let's have a conversation about this thing, about why it may or may not be the greatest thing ever, whatever it is. I welcome the comments. I do request, though, that you try and be constructive with your criticism, or you at least have some sort of knowledge base to work from, because gotcha moments are not going to work in this comment section. I do have a pretty strong knowledge base and a pretty strong opinion most of the time. So, all of that being said, thank you very much for joining me right now, and let's get back to your regularly scheduled reaction video. All right. Well, apparently we have to... Where am I? There we go. All right. So this batch of reactions, we're not going to have an instrument, not an instrument that we have had previously, but we will have a little something. I don't know exactly what a keyboard's going to do for me, but we'll try it. I've never really done these with a keyboard before, so all right, so regular sections for the reactions. First things first is we just did the disclaimer, so if you've got a problem, you know, gotcha questions aren't going to get me. But I will engage in a constructive conversation, as it would seem Mushroomhead definitely elicits a very interesting response from a lot of people. I fully suspect to someone to be an edgelord in the comment section of this one, but history with the band is normally where we start. This is not the first time we've reacted to Mushroomhead. Matter of fact, this is not the first time Mushroomhead has been featured on this channel to a certain degree. Years ago, about a year before COVID hit, I got to interview Rick Thomas, who was Stitch in the band, the sampler, DJ, keyboard player, depending on which era of the band you're talking about that he played in. Currently, he is not playing with the band, though I do understand that he is on good terms with the band, I believe. So, interesting situation there. It sounds like from time to time, and this is kind of hearsay, but it sounds like from time to time Stitch still does play on tour, but he's not on the most recent record. and it's kind of when he's not. He runs a haunted house, I guess, out in Cleveland. So. Either way, definitely got to. It was super great to get to interview him. I got to take pictures at the show that was just after the interview I did with him. Big Mushroomhead fan, which so the history of the band, or my history with the band, I think has already been covered to a certain degree, especially if you have seen those videos. So we're not going to necessarily do that, although we just did. The other part is, before we get into the video, expectations. So the name of this song, I kind of buried that in the intro, is Prepackaged. What do I expect out of Prepackaged? I don't really know. The last track that we talked about in the news show was Fall in Line, and it sounds reminiscent. It doesn't sound exactly, because somebody's going to say, well, it's not exactly like the Waylon years, because these two guys, Rick and Dave, I believe, are the current vocalists. These two guys, they're not Waylon. They have their own sound. Yes, I realize they don't sound exactly like Waylon, but the way that these songs are structured, going just off of that first track, the Fall in Line track, there's elements of the Waylon sound in there. So I'm expecting some of that. And we'll get into the details of what the difference between Waylon and J-Man is, and how the three, J-Man, Jeffrey Nothing, and Waylon, kind of worked together to make really awesome lineup. It's just the material for those three as vocalists at the same time was not the best material they've ever put out. But we are totally rambling. So expectations. I expect it to sound reminiscent of the Waylon era of Mushroomhead. I also expect some really shiny production. I really expect this to just be like the audio equivalent of gloss. Not that that's a bad thing necessarily. That's definitely the way Skinny has been going for a long time with his production. So I can't fault the guy for it. It is the way he wants it to sound, and it absolutely sounds that way. Other expectations. I expect it to be a little heavy. I don't know that it's going to be like Meshuggah levels of heavy. They haven't really been that heavy since the 13 record, but I do expect it to be fairly heavy. And I expect the video to be really cool. That's one of the things I fully appreciate about Mushroomhead, is that their video production doesn't take a back seat. Phil Labonte has said a number of times, you know, the only reason bands make videos, he's speaking specifically about his band, the only reason we make videos, speaking about his band, but kind of as a whole about the music scene, the only reason we make videos is because it's promotion for the record, because they don't actually make any money on the production of the video. So once the video hits YouTube, generally speaking, the revenue they make from YouTube is not enough to make back the money they spent to make the actual video. So the fact that Mushroomhead still puts out crazy, elaborate, and high production value videos is freaking awesome. I absolutely love that about these guys. So that being said, I think that's all of the expectations that I can think of. Let's just get into the damn. I know somebody's going, God, he talks a lot. Yes, I do, and I talk to myself quite a bit actually. But let's get into the video. Okay, so let's talk about vocals, because that is not what I was expecting out of it. Well, it is a very, very small amount of what I was expecting out of the vocals with this lineup. All right, so I'm assuming this one is Rockhurst, Steve, and then I really can't remember the other guy's name. And I don't have any notes for today's reaction session, so you're just going to have to bear with me. We're going to refer to this one as Steve, because I'm pretty sure that's who that is, with the very Greek themed mask. And then the other vocalist, we're just going to refer to as Slappy, because he kind of looks like the puppet from Goosebumps, doesn't he? Hey, look, there's Gravy. We're going to talk a little bit about Gravy, too, because, yeah, he kind of looks like Slappy from Goosebumps, doesn't he? Like that. Anyway, so Mr. Rockhurst and Mr. Slappy. The last time we heard them, again, was Fall in Line, and they had a very similar vocal delivery, and that vocal delivery had a lot of elements that were familiar from the Waylon years, and that is kind of a more traditional metal vocal sound. So I'm not faulting it for any reason. There's not a lot that really differentiated their vocal delivery from Fall in Line to everything else in the metal scene right now, for years and years, actually. So the fact that there's some different production going on with this one, it sounds like, and there's also different vocal delivery going on with this. The Jeffrey Nothing, if I refer to Jeffrey Nothing style vocals, that's going to be somewhere between like Typo Negative and Mr. Bungle, almost, the way that Jeffrey does it. And then he also definitely has his own flavor too, but there's a lot of elements of Patton and and then I'm gonna brain fart Typo Negative. Really? God, that's horrible. Peter Steele. Goodness. All right. So Peter Steele and Mike Patton are definitely vocal styles that you hear shades of in Jeffrey Nothing. And then he definitely has his own twist on all of that, so it's very definitively Jeffrey Nothing. But that's kind of the idea for the Jeffrey Nothing vocal. And then the J-Man vocal, he's got kind of two different deliveries. He has his more rap hip-hop delivery, which you see on a song like Bwomp. If you've never heard Bwomp, that is kind of the pinnacle, the best all-encompassing example of what Mushroomhead kind of used to be. They haven't really been that for a little while, but J-Man does the rappy stuff very heavily on Bwomp, but he's also the one with the aggressive, guttural tone to his voice, where Jeffrey Nothing is more of a throat and head voice. Like he comes a lot from the top of his chest and from the top of his head, whereas J-Man is definitely from the center of his chest, even the bottom of his chest. Very, very guttural kind of sound to his delivery. So that's kind of where we are with those two, and we already covered Waylon. So there are shades of the J-Man stuff in here, but so far we only have J-Man and Waylon. And I realize these guys are their own vocalists, but this is kind of our frame of reference, so that's what we're going to use. So let's go back a little bit. I also really dig what Gravy's doing, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's go back here a little bit and get into. We're going to talk over the music, guys. That is very Waylon-esque. Just very smooth spoken delivery, and the lyrical content is very Jeffrey Nothing too. Just to get back up on that cross, or whatever the line was. A lot of stuff, a lot of familiar ground that Jeffrey Nothing tread when he was writing lyrics for Mushroomhead. So really cool. That's still very much the Waylon style vocal, just the general metal vocal. He's got a really hearty chest voice, and he's using some really good vocal compression. So it doesn't sound like he's hurting himself. He's not going absolutely crazy. But still not a whole lot to stand out here. There's Skinny over there on his light up drums. I can't remember who these two guys are, the drummer on the kit and then the other secondary drummer. But yeah, so his vocals, still impressive, but it's not anything unique, we'll say. I like they're continuing with this element of their songwriting, just these groovy sections, so they can still utilize this very theatrical drum setup. It works stupid well live. It is absolutely cool. One of the coolest effects, and you can do it super cheap because these guys don't make a whole hell of a lot of money, so it's really awesome to see them get so theatrical. Like that mask a lot. Like Gravy's new mask, too. So that is a new vocal delivery. That's cool. That is like almost an Alexi Liejo kind of goblin voice situation going on there. I am digging that a lot. With an element of J-Man, just that kind of more casual rappy delivery, but the gremlin kind of overtones is really, really cool. A little bit of Jeffrey Nothing with that higher head voice stuff there. While you compensate through your distractions, I can see it in your eyes. You're coming undone. I feel the worst that's come. So this riff is very much a Gravy riff. I realize he's not doing a lot of the writing, but I would be very surprised if this one was not his original riff. If you go back and listen to any of that earlier stuff, it's very groove oriented. Any of the stuff that he wrote on, it's very, very groove oriented. And I really, 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 really like his groove, especially when he and his brother are writing together. Like Gravy and Skinny are brothers, Dave and Steve Felton. And just, yeah, I dig it. Apparently Steve is insanely difficult to work with, as evidenced by the fact that he can't seem to keep band members, but I dig it. And it's a really simple riff, too. I really like her costume. This is really crazy. All right, so we're going to get a little critical of this sound here. It's overproduced to the point of being bland. The riff is really cool. I feel like it gets very much lost in the mix here. That's kind of been because of the overproduction that Skinny has been doing for so long. It's kind of been almost a signature issue with their sound. Again, I'm a big Mushroomhead fan, but I feel like I don't know if it's the compression or just the mix, but everything is just so even, everything's gonna be on the same level. We're not gonna sonically set anything apart. Everything is evenly panned almost, and I don't know. It's very disappointing because I know what they sound like live, and it's not this. It's much more enthusiastic and invigorating live, and the records, the last few records, as far as the mix and the production goes, has just been flat and boring. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Oh, also, songwriting-wise, very, very mid-tempo. I miss the days of dynamics with these guys because they were really great with dynamics. Go back and listen to Solitaire Unraveling, and you get some sludgy elements. You get a little bit of thrash in there. Like, just the dynamics are all over the place. And the last few records, it's, again, much like the mix, the dynamics of the song are very flat. Through your distraction. I mean, like, Gravy even kind of looks bored, doesn't he? Playing, just kind of half-ass strumming that riff. He just looks like he could be and should be doing more. Is this a solo? Dr. J on bass. Jackie not doing much aside from looking creepy. That was almost dynamic. Almost dynamic. Like they wanted to. You got back into the spoken part, but the instrumental kind of kicked up to even out those dynamics. So it was and production-wise, those vocals were still flat as shit because that was a compression thing. That was absolutely a compression thing. You can hear him breathing between words. That means he's highly compressed. I'm not going to say the compression was overly done, but if you're going to compress it that much, do play with the volume a little bit. Like you need dynamics to keep it sonically interesting. I really dig this round of masks. That's cool shit. Oh, no, we have audio ducking. Oh, no. Oh, man, like the production. Why has this been such a thing recently? I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you where the audio ducking is. So when we have audio ducking, my microphone just cut out, so I don't know. I don't know how much of that we have, but we're just going to pick it up from this spot. When there is audio ducking, it is a compression issue. It is generally happens when it does happen. Generally happens around drums, which is exactly where it happened here. So it is a production issue that almost every producer I've ever worked with has had to work around or has had to learn how to deal with, because it happens when you over compress. Sometimes you need a very compressed sound for whatever reason, and it's difficult to deal with. But we're going to go back. We're going to listen to this ducking. That might be too far. Where are we? 350, 20 seconds. Let's go 15 seconds. So if you listen to the snare is the loudest drum on the kit. The snare is going to be the thing that everything ducks around, because as soon as the snare comes in, all of the room sound that you're getting and all of the lower drums, all of the like the kick and the larger toms, their volume is going to go down, hence ducking, in order to accommodate for the snare in the compression mix, in the sonic landscape of the compression. So, it's so sad to see. Oh, it's even happening there a little bit. Right? Oh. It sounds like it's breathing, right? It sounds like the room gets bigger when the snare goes away. That's the room sound. That's the natural reverb of wherever the hell they were when they recorded those drums. That is something you want to retain in your drum mix. It's something that's not there when he's playing the drums heavily. Oh, that's so disappointing. This is the first time I've ever noticed this in a Mushroomhead mix. And to the point where it affects it affects the dynamics in a negative way. Listen to that drum roll again. Right here, this one when it comes back in. You miss the roll of the kick because it ducks out on the last two beats because the snare comes in. Good Lord. Damn it, Skinny. You were supposed to be the chosen one.
You say that.
Oh, and there it is again! Again with the ducking. This time it's vocals that are ducking. Come on, guys. We're going back. 5 seconds, sure. So when the spoken vocal comes in, it's very loud and very present in the mix because it's highly compressed, which means this is not an individual mix. So each instrument and then each vocal and then each grouping of instruments, you have a bunch of sub mixes. So the drums, you'll generally have 2 or 3 sub mixes on drums. You'll have the cymbals will be their own mix, and then depending on the producer, you might do the kicks as their own mix and then all of the toms and the snare on their own mix. Obviously, each one has their own individual channel, but then you mix those channels in different groups so that you can play with the dynamics, so that you can retain room sound and the character of the individual drums or whatever you're trying to do. So again, it depends on the producer. Generally, when I'm recording, I have cymbals on a mix. I have all of the kick and toms together on a mix because their character is very similar to my ear. And then the snare gets its own submix, and then you mix the individual channels, and then you mix the submixes together, so those 3 subs, and that is your drum sound. And then you have, for a guitar, depending on how many guitar players you have and how many tracks each of those guitar players do, you'll have usually 1 to 2 submixes with guitar and bass, and then each vocalist gets their own mix. And then you take all of these submixes, which, because you do so many tracks in the studio, you make sure each of those submixes sounds good unto itself, and then you mix those submixes together for the overall mix. And then the final step, generally speaking, again, depending on the producer and depending on their process, but usually the final step is you do an overall mix, and you compress or you master however you need to get the tone to be even throughout. You don't want it to be flat, but you also don't want a bunch of transients and you don't want a bunch of craziness going on. You want it to be listenable, but you don't want it to be boring. So this issue, because it is on the drums and the vocals, either one of 2 things happened. Either we are getting a bad mastering compression, where the final step is bad because everything is ducking around each other, or each of the individual submixes, when they are mixed together for their groups, is bad. So the drums has a ducking issue unto itself, and then when he mixed the vocals together, that had a ducking issue between the 2 of them. We're going to go back and listen again because I couldn't decipher where exactly that issue was, but it is one of those 2 places. So let's go back.
You say that.
It sounds like it's the guitar affecting it, so I think it's the mastering compression. It's the very end step of that mixing, all that mixing nonsense. So I mean, it's cool that the guitar is the focal instrument because, I don't know, it's metal. That makes sense that you would want that to be the focus. Generally, though, in a mix, the drums are the focal instrument. Vocals take a kind of a similar secondary situation to guitars. But in this mix, it sounds like they've put the guitars a little bit above everything else, at least in the compression string. So very interesting, also very disheartening. Hey, that was Dynamics. Hooray! Too little too late, though, I think. Son of a bitch. Ooh, a keychain. Oh, no, that's just for the chorus. They already did that. While you compensate through your distractions, I can see in your eyes. You're coming undone. I fear the worst that's yet to come. 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 Oh. Well, that's Mushroomhead. Oh, God. I still love these guys. This is bad production, but I still love these guys. So, yeah, well, when the record comes out next month, Call the Devil, I believe, is the name of the record. I will definitely still be getting it, but, oh, man. So, leave a comment. Did you hear what I was talking about in the mix here? I mean... I know what I'm talking about, but like, did you hear it as well? Did I do a good enough job communicating to you the issues here? I mean, this, as far as like performance goes, because all of the issues I had with this largely are production issues. Yes, I did comment on the songwriting dynamics, how they're kind of lax. Either way, though, like, it's still an exciting song. Just generally speaking, the vocalists are doing their job of keeping you interested. I think there's a lot of technical things that can be done better on both performance and production, but still something that I'm not going to turn off if I hear it on the radio. And I do know they do play Mushroomhead on Sirius satellite radio, which I'm about to go on a road trip, so I'll probably be catching some Mushroomhead on the radio. Yeah, anyway, what did you think, nerds? Let me know down in the comments, blah, 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 all of the things. I love your faces. Oh, also, today's episode, channel partner, where did it go? Channel partner, Dubby. Whee! Hi, Dubby. If you are needing a caffeine fix and you don't have a lot of money, but you still want some good quality energy drinks, Dubby is the way to go. The tubs are absolutely worth it. My favorite so far is the Calio Dream. It is an orange cream energy drink. They are the powdered energy drink mixes, though, so keep that in mind. But it is super tasty stuff, and it's more than just caffeine. You've got the nootropics in there to help you stay focused, help your brain function the way it should. So go check out link in the description for my personal link for your 10% off. Use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout, and yeah, it's just going to be a good time for you. So once again, I appreciate your faces, nerds. I love you. We'll see you in the next one. We're going to be getting into some really interesting stuff with these reactions, so definitely stay tuned and subscribe and do all the things. And I appreciate your faces. We'll see you next time. Okay, love you. Bye.